Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon and the thumbs up as well, so that you'll get alerted when I post new videos or go live. If you'd like to participate on the live stream, you can join me most weekdays, or outside of the live stream, you can consider joining the Discord that I created. There's a link for that down in the description below. Down in the description below. Also, if you are interested in getting some ideas of the meals that we enjoy, we created a link to a Pinterest board that has all of our family's favorite whole food plant-based meals. Today is day 587 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food plant-based salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 210 pounds so far. I'm 19 months through this challenge. I have 17 months left to go. I'm really excited about reaching my goal weight and living a happy, healthy life after that. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories you want to share, I'd love to hear those as well. I'd love to hear how you're doing on your diet. If you're succeeding, I'd love to know what you're doing in order to succeed. If you're struggling, I'd like to know what's going on. I'd like to hear what maybe is causing those struggles. If you haven't gotten started, what's keeping you from getting started? For me, a big thing is, how are you going to make staying on your diet, which means not eating junk food, how are you going to make that easier than the alternative, which is eating said junk food? We're going to go ahead and switch over to the main page here. Pretty Girl's mom's checking in saying, hiya, folks. Hi, Pretty Girl's mom. I hope you're doing wonderful. I hope everybody had a great evening and wonderful day today. I have been pretty busy with work, but it's Friday, so it's always hard to get motivated to jump into any new projects or get real into anything because the weekend's coming up and you just want to relax and hang out. The weather here has sucked today, so getting outside and swimming or doing something like that's not really an option. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend and hanging out with the family and possibly getting some things done around the house. I haven't looked at the weather to even know what it's going to be like this weekend around here, but we will figure it out. Let me go ahead and pull up my system here. I forgot to get this going before stream and see if I can find any photos from food last night. So yesterday was a little bit of an off day with dinner. Carrie had some plans in the afternoon, and I was in charge of taking care of dinner for everybody that was at home. Our Tiny Acres says, hugs, beautiful people. Hugs back to you, Our Tiny Acres. So I was in charge of the food, I suppose, for the most part. Carrie did a lot of prep work and got everything ready to go. I just had to kind of finish it up and put it together. So I didn't end up eating it, but we made waffles for the kids last night with the Vitamix. It's a really awesome recipe that Carrie uses. I can't think of where she got it from off the top of my head right now, but that was kind of what she had gotten together for dinner was waffles, and I wasn't really feeling like waffles last night. I just didn't. I don't know. I just didn't feel like it. And so I made the waffles for the kids, and then for myself, we had some baked potatoes cooked up. So I had some baked potato with some of our mustard dressing. I did not take a photo of it, unfortunately. And then to kind of finished filling up my stomach. Probably not the best choice in the world, what I do with the Ezekiel bread, but I did take a photo of it here. So let me see if I can get this up. So I had some Ezekiel bread with nut butter. Oh no, it's not working today. We'll give it one shot here, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it, I wonder if I'm on the wrong Wi-Fi. Here we go. Got it. It should work now. Let's see. Christy M says, hello, just got back from walking my dogs. It's way too hot. It's not so bad weather-wise here. So Carrie's checking in saying hello. But yeah, it's that time of year in the Northern Hemisphere where you can get pretty hot outside. And, just after depending on where you're at, I guess, just after midday, it's always the hottest. But this was part of my dinner last night, just some Ezekiel bread with nut butter on it. I didn't really eat a whole lot. Like, thinking back, I had a couple potatoes. I had the Ezekiel bread with nut butter. I'm sure I had oranges. Probably had an apple. But I don't think I really cooked up much else. I had a couple. The potatoes I had were decent size. Oh, you're in Houston, Christy. So yeah, I'm sure it's they're going through a heat wave down there. They were. I don't know what it's like now, but cool and wet here in Oregon. It's always cool and wet there in Oregon, though, right? It's pretty awesome. The food, yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't super hungry. I talked about that a little bit yesterday too. That I have been a little bit less ravenous when I get home and eating, and it's not a bad thing. It should help with weight loss overall. But yeah, last night the potatoes, it was actually a lot of food, really thinking about it. In hindsight, it was a full bowl of potato with some mustard dressing. And then this morning we ended up having our regular oatmeal. Lots of photos. 78 and wet yesterday is what our tiny acre says it was up in Oregon. So and yesterday here it was beautiful. It's just rainy today. And of course, the one time I leave my office to go to a store is when it decides that it's just gonna pour down rain all over top of me. So, but this was the oatmeal from today. One of the things that we run into with our oatmeal mix is that it's pretty thick, and when we put it in the Instapot, sometimes it gives us this burn reading on it. And this morning's gave us some fits with that, with the burn reading. And so it doesn't cook the same when it does that, or it kind of affects the cooking. And I think it was better. I don't know what was different about this morning's, if the onions were less cooked, or it had a little bit of a different flavor profile than it always, it always has a little bit of a different flavor profile, which I think is funny because I can notice it, just because there's not that added salt in there that kind of masks everything. Pretty Girl's mom said, pleasant day, mid-70s sunny and light breeze, Western Massachusetts. I should just start a weather channel. I could just get all you guys to come on, give me your updates on the weather for the day, and I can let everybody know what it's like all over the U.S. Yeah, I really enjoyed the oatmeal this morning, even though the Instapot said that it was getting messed up. And funny thing about an Instapot, I was talking the other day on stream about Instapots, and Carrie ended up getting an additional Instapot, and I'm planning on bringing it into my office and setting it up so it's available to use. I don't eat a lot during the day, and that will probably mess up that regiment that I don't eat. It'll give me an opportunity. It'll give me an opportunity to eat during the day if I want to. And I might try, what I was thinking about doing with it is setting it up and just cooking potatoes in it and just having potatoes available like throughout the day. Like if in the morning I come in and I throw a few potatoes in there, or I throw a bunch of potatoes in and save them for a couple days, and just have them in the fridge where I can just go and grab them and eat them. I'm debating on whether or not to do that. I don't know if it'll mess up anything I got going on. I mean, I don't think it will. It'll just change. What I guess I'm hoping it does is it causes me to eat less food later in the day or be less snacky after dinner. So that was pretty awesome that we're getting another Instapot, because for us, we use it all the time. Do you guys use Instapots or pressure cookers very much? I'd be curious to know, because I was talking to one of my coworkers about it, and they were like, oh yeah, I have an Instapot and we've done a few things in it, but I probably haven't used it in 2 years. And the one that we're getting for free from a friend is the same way, where they think that or that they have an Instapot, but they just don't ever use it. So they feel like it's wasted space in their cupboard. And so they're giving it to us as long as we're willing to loan it back to them when they possibly need it, I think is what she was hoping. But or have some, but Christy says that she has 2 and uses both of them all the time. Our Tiny Acre says that they love their Instapot. Barb says they have 2 Instapots because they use them all the time. It is it's crazy to me, because it's become such a part of our diet. Like every day almost, Carrie's putting, we cook our oatmeal in the Instapot. So every day the oatmeal's done in the Instapot. And then a lot of times our dinners are made in the Instapot, or parts of our dinners are made in the Instapot, or we use the Instapot to soak our beans in to get them ready to go. And it's just becomes so integral, or such an important part of our daily routine. And it was before we started this diet too. It was just, we cooked different things in the Instapot. So for me, with how easy it is to use and how nice it is to be able to take things from frozen to cooked in like no time, it's surprising to me when people say they have an Instapot, but they don't use it. And a lot of it probably is just because it never became part of their routine, and all their habits were always to, cook with the stovetop or in the oven or in the microwave. A few comments coming in. Our Tiny Acre, or I'm sorry, Barb's, I already read those. Pretty Girl's mom says, you have one and you haven't used it yet. You use a slow cooker. You know what? I would recommend looking into some things to do in your Instapot, just to give it a shot. And even if it's just you making potatoes, I think the baked potatoes, they're not baked, they're pressure cooked potatoes. The potatoes in the Instapot are really good. And there's a lot of great recipes that you can put together in an Instapot. Like I said, our oatmeal we make in there. The Mega Veggie Chili gets made in the Instapot. There's lots of great options that you can do with an Instapot, and getting the food cooked very quickly. Our Tiny Acre says that they need to add more veggies in with your potatoes. Yes, I'm going to talk about the starch solution in a little bit, but he does talk a little bit about that. And I have like a couple minutes left in the book. I haven't finished the last couple minutes, but he does bring up his maximum weight loss at the end of the book, which I believe he has a book called Maximum Weight Loss that I imagine is, he wrote it after this book, that kind of pushes the 50-50 plate, like the other half of your plate being non-starchy vegetables. And I can see where I could use some more vegetables in my diet. Yesterday, in fact, Carrie had part of the dinner that we got together was a bag of broccoli that I put, it was a steamer bag that goes in the microwave, and I cooked it, and I didn't even eat any of it, just because I just didn't feel like eating it, I guess. And I probably should have just chosen to. Oh no. Hopefully my stream picks up a little bit better here, but I just did get alert that it might cut out on you guys. So let me know if it comes back in or if there's any issues with it streaming on your and he wrote, so our tiny acres, you're gonna have to, he wrote the starch solution before maximum weight loss. I thought that's the way it was, but if it was the other way around, let me know. Let's see. More vegetable. Let's see. Colleen says, happy Friday. It's 110 degrees. Oh man, I don't think I could survive at 110 degrees. That's wild. You do your carrot and you do your carrot hot dogs in your Instapot. But yeah, the 110 degrees. It's really funny is that 2 months ago, I was repeatedly walking around the house telling Carrie, I was like, we need to get out of here. It is too cold. The humans aren't supposed to be in this cold a climate. Well, I don't know that humans are supposed to be down in 110 degree weather either. Connor McManus says, hi, haven't been on in a while. Glad to hear your voice. Thanks. Hope all's been going well. It's been going really good. I feel great. And I really am looking forward to the rest of this challenge. I feel like the past 9-10 months have been this weird kind of plateau, and I'm looking forward to pushing through that and getting some real weight off here in the next few months, especially with the weather getting nicer outside. I'll have more. Maximum weight loss was first. I did not know that. So, that might change whether or not did you read them? What did you think about maximum weight loss? Because that was going to be one of the next books that I listened to was maximum weight loss. But if the starch solution came out after, then I might just skip it because I would imagine that he put any of that information in there that he wanted. So, but yeah, Connor, thanks for checking out the stream again. I'm glad you were able to catch the live stream today, and I hope things are going well with you. Pretty Girl's mom says that the learning curve with the pressure cooker seems a little intimidating. I can understand. And yeah, so that's why I would say do something simple first. Just throw some potatoes in there. I think you put some water in there as well, but just do something simple that if you mess it up, it's not going to really screw you up too much, and just keep playing with it because there's a lot of great things that you can make in there. Barb says that sweet potato stew takes 1 minute in the Instapot. That's pretty cool. You can get it done in 1 minute. Let's see. Our Tiny Acre says you've read all of McDougall's book, and then the advantage of the Instapot is that it does that cooking and it doesn't heat up your kitchen. Yes, it should do that. And then Gene says that an air fryer is great for reheating leftovers. Absolutely. Yeah, we have both the Instapot and the air fryer. We already had the Instapot before we started the diet. And then when we first got started doing this, I started the diet and I started eating this way in December of 2020. And that Christmas, we got a Breville air fryer, like 9-in-1 air fryer, oven, toaster, dehydrator, and we use the air fryer quite a bit. So yeah, that is good for reheating those leftovers, getting them good, and getting them heated through really quickly is what's nice about the air fryer. So we're kind of all over the place here. We're going from weather to pressure cookers to the starch solution. I suppose I can talk about that. So I am almost done with the starch solution, like literally less than 2 minutes left to listen to the audio on it. And I was listening to it actually right up to the stream because I realized I had like 20 minutes left on it. And I felt like that if I finished the book on the way home now that I would be, it wouldn't be till Monday that I could kind of review the book. And I thought it was a really good book. And if you are just getting into this way of eating, it gives you a lot of great information about the diet and really a lot of great information about how harmful the way that we have been eating has been as well. But throughout the book, he breaks the book into 3 different parts. The first part of the book is just healing with starch, and he talks about a lot about cultures that have eaten starch. Let's see, healing that happens on starch, and then he talks about the USDA and how they have the politics involved with recommending starches or not recommending starches, or what the USDA actually recommends and what they were intended for. Then the second part of the book is titled Frequently Asked Questions About Food. He goes into what you're going to run into, or what you even may, if you're hesitant to start eating a plant-based diet or a starch-based diet here, the things that you may pop into your head. Well, what about protein? What about calcium? What about B12? And he goes through and talks about those things. One of the things that he does talk about in the book that is, it's hard for me to balance it, or he does a chapter in the book where he talks about salt and sugar. And when he talks about salt and sugar, he recommends that you have salt, or that if you need salt, that you eat salt and you don't shy away from salt. And the same thing with sugar. And that is a little bit contradictory to the diet that I'm eating right now, because I don't eat any added salt or any added sugar. Some of the things he does talk about, though, is that you need to be in charge of the amount of sodium that's in your food. So you should be preparing your own food, or when you do add salt, it should just be to the top of food. If you can avoid using salt in a recipe, you should. And then if you want to get the benefits of the flavor improvement from salt, then you just sprinkle it on the top of your food, so you can regulate how much you put in. And the amount of salt that he really recommends isn't a ton of salt throughout a day. So that is one of the parts of the book where I get what he's saying. It may work. It probably works for lots of people, because he talks about it through, the Maximum Weight Loss book, the Starch Solution book. He has lots of testimonials that people have been eating this way or his way have lost great amount of weight. So, if you're smart about it and you're I think that the big thing about that salt and sugar is that you got to avoid it in the processed foods. You have to avoid buying foods that have excess salt and excess sugar, and can control those on your own. But yeah, that would be the only part of the book where it contradicts a bit. But he also talks about how you can get your daily needed amount of sodium from the vegetables that you eat, and you don't have to necessarily add any salt or sugar. Another big chapter in the book is about supplements. It's probably the longest chapter in the book, looking at the timestamps here. The part of the book where he talks about staying away from supplements is like I said, it's the biggest chunk of the book, or the largest chapter in the book. Let's see. Artenia Acre says that both the books are great books, and most of the information is in both, but some the Starch Solution might have a few additional things, I'm guessing is what you meant by that. And then you said you lost over 150 pounds and then started letting those oils back in, and you gained 50 of it back, and you're working on being more strict again. Yeah. And Colin says it too. Wow, 150 pounds is awesome. That is a great accomplishment to have lost the weight. And I know it's probably frustrating that you have seen the scale go back up, but I'm glad to see that you're getting right back at it. And you know what to do. You know that eating that diet is going to be what gets you to your, get you to your closer to your goal weight. I don't know at 150 pounds down if you would hit your goal weight. That always happens to me. Once I hit my goal weight, then it's all out the window. Anthony's checking in saying hello, or hey Anthony, I hope you're having a great day today. Yeah, that's been my thing, is so many times I've hit that goal. I had a goal to lose 50 pounds or a goal to get under 300 pounds. And the second I hit that goal, it was like, all right, let's go celebrate with some fast food, or let's go eat a pizza. And it just throws it all away. So I'd be curious as if when you got your 150 pounds, if you were at your goal weight, or you just started letting things kind of come in that affected your weight. But like I said, the largest section in the book is about the supplements and staying away from that. It's really funny. He makes a comment in the book, and I can't think of it off the top of my head to quote it, but it is essentially that, how many of these people that you see pumping or promoting these supplements are thin, and how many of them are actually attributing or can attribute their health to the supplement alone. Like, many times they're taking supplements, but they're also at the gym, or they're doing a lot of other things. And the supplements themselves aren't necessarily what has given them or caused them to lose weight. There's a lot of this stuff that you don't have to get it in supplement form. You can get it through whole natural foods. And it's a big part of the book. And then the third section of the book is living the solution. And really, that is, if you know everything else, you could skip to the last hour of the book, and it really spells out what his starch solution plan is. Our Tiny Acre says, nope, you were way over your goal still. You and a friend both got into your pants. You had been in, and it kind of freaked my mind out. Because you lost that much weight, it freaked your mind out, or what? I'm curious. Yeah, I probably have a few pairs of pants I could get into. Well, I've joked for the last pretty much the last year, that I've lost as much weight as my dad or my father-in-law actually weighs. I've lost as much as they weigh. So I have a lot of pants and things like that I bet that I could fit into with somebody. Yeah, it's a weird thing to lose this much weight, or to lose 150 pounds. That's just, it's so hard to kind of balance everything mentally, because it's just, you have this lag in your mind where you still feel like you're that heavier person, and you're not as thin as you actually are. And you don't realize how much better things are, because it's been such a slow thing. But yeah, this third part of the starch solution really spells out his whole program. Now, the only downside to listening to the third part of the audiobook on Audible is that there are a lot of lists in this last part. Like, you can eat these vegetables, artichoke, carrots, whatever. He just kale, lettuce, it's like this checklist. The narrator is just reading a list of things, and it gets a little bit boring. And kind of here at the end as well, and the very last chapter of the book, he has what he calls his 7-day sure start plan. And he kind of just reads through, for breakfast, you can have these things. For lunch, you can have this, or this is an example of a day on this plan. And so it was a lot of listening to a guy just name food. But overall, it lays out the program and what he talks about really a lot in the last part of the book. Again, overall, I enjoyed the book. It's really helped to recommit my mind to this way of eating. It'd probably been a month or two since I had listened to an audio book that was plant-based, and just kind of like a little bit of a refresher course, and help strengthen my resolve to stick with the diet. I eat so much starch already. Like, you guys see the meals that I put up on the screen, and I eat a lot of starches. Maybe I eat a little bit more fruit than he recommends. I don't know. But I don't eat, it's not like I'm eating a fruit-based diet. And with our breakfast, we don't have fruit in it anymore. So I feel like I have been pretty much following his plan here recently. The things that he does talk about, though, is that if you're trying to lose weight, you should get rid of the juices, you should get rid of the nut butters, maybe get rid of the avocado. There was one other thing that surprised me that was high in calorie or fat. I can't think of it. But it's been good. So our Tiny Acre said that you both had lost enough to fit completely in one of the legs of pants. That's a lot. And Gene says you can understand it's hard for your mind to adjust to the new size. And it works the other way too. Like when I was 520 pounds, I didn't feel like I looked like I was 520 pounds. And I'm sure that if you were standing next to me, that I did look or appear to be all of 520 pounds. Gene says that you like McDougall's style of explaining how the anatomy works. Yes, he does a great job of going through everything. It's interesting because he was actually a physician. He was a practicing physician. That's what he studied. That's how he started in medicine. He was working with patients. A lot of times with these books or with this stuff, it's done by researchers. Like Dr. Greger is a researcher. I don't know that Dr. Greger was ever a practicing physician, but I think he was a research physician. And Colin Campbell was the same way. He was not a practicing physician. He was a research doctor. He did all his work in research versus actually seeing patients. So it's really nice to get McDougall's perspective because he can explain where he's seen the differences. He talks a lot about in the book his time in Hawaii and dealing with those people. Colleen says that you're clinging to your tofu and avocado until you absolutely need to get rid of it. I feel like I'm doing the same thing with the nut butter. I did get rid of the juice 2 weeks ago, though. I think it's probably helping. And not having that huge sweetness, I think also helps to, so I don't have cravings for sweetness. I feel like when you drink something like juice, you just crave more juice later. Like it's hard to just eat a small glass of juice. And since I started drinking juice, it started off as me drinking like a 6 to 8 ounce glass of juice once a day. And then slowly that progressed to me drinking a little bit larger glass of cherry juice each day. And then eventually got to a point where I was drinking cherry juice in the morning at breakfast. And then I was drinking it again at night at dinner. And then maybe even grabbing a glass of it later in the evening. So it just led to me drinking more juice. If I would have just been drinking that 6 ounces of juice that I was drinking the first couple months I started drinking juice, then I might not have, it might not have affected me the same way. And I can't say it's 100% what's caused me to plateau. And I am going to talk a little bit about that here in a second too, but it definitely, I think it definitely impacted. It's a lot of it was a lot of unnecessary calories because it didn't, drinking that juice didn't cause the stretch receptors in my stomach to process that I had eaten any volume of food. So it was really just bonus calories that I was putting in my body unnecessarily. And then if my body has those bonus calories to burn, and it also has some fat from the nut butters or maybe just the fat that's in the rest of the food that I have, then the body is going to say, hey, we got enough calories from the food and from the juice that he's drinking. Let's take this fat and throw it into storage. And I think that getting rid of the juice is going to be helpful overall. Our Tiny Acre says, yeah, avocado and nuts and juice are all hard to release. Anthony asks, do you have a swimming pool in your area? So we have a very small above ground pool in our yard, so we can go swimming there. But swimming pools, and maybe you guys have similar experience where you are in the country, but swimming pools absolutely suck around here right now because the one place that we did have a membership to was the YMCA, which is still a 20-minute drive from our house. But the YMCA has an indoor pool, and we had a membership there. And for a while, Carrie was taking our kids to that pool to go swimming. And then COVID kind of happened and screwed that up a little bit. But the biggest thing that happened is that the YMCA cannot find lifeguards. They cannot get people to come in and be lifeguards. And so you don't know if the swimming is going to be open or not. My brother has been trying to train to do a triathlon, and he has a membership at the Y. And he was just complaining to me about it again last week, that he has gone up to the gym intending to go swimming. He gets there and there's a sign on the door that says, no swimming today because we don't have any lifeguards on staff. And it's like, I'm a 40-year-old adult. I think I can handle swimming without a lifeguard, but legal reasons and safety reasons, they have to have somebody there as a lifeguard. And Christy M says, your 16-year-old is a lifeguarding this summer. I hope they are getting paid a premium. I don't know if it's that way in your area, but we have a shortage of lifeguards. You're down in Houston, so you might not have that same problem. Yeah. And so that's been the problem with like public larger pools, is that it's hard to get the lifeguards or the staffing so that people can use the pools. And I would hate to do all the effort to go to the gym and have it not there. But we do have a little above ground pool in our yard. Last year when I was training for the sprint triathlon, I rigged up this system to kind of allow me to try to, I tried to turn my above ground swimming pool into a swim spa, I guess, or like a thing that you could swim into. Like the return jets were pushing water, and so you could swim into it. And then I also created this belt thing that I could strap to my back that would keep me from going too far forward. And I did that a little bit while training for the sprint triathlon I did last year, but I haven't messed with that at all this year because I haven't been doing much working out. So very long-winded answer to whether or not there are swimming pools in my area. Jean says that Mary's mini diet helps with cravings. It's just 2 weeks, I believe. Yeah, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, and it's either 2 weeks or 10 days. Let me see. I just hit the button. Let me see if I can just get it to tell me what it is right off the top here. But yeah, Mary's mini diet. Let me just see what it pulls. It's 10 days is what it said, or yeah. So, or they talk about their, I don't know. I'm not going to read all this on stream, but, yeah, it looks like it's 2 weeks or 10 days. It sort of teaches your mind to just eat food as a daily requirement rather than craving foods that are meant to be eating occasionally. Yeah. So we have a Discord that I created. There's a link for it down below. One of the members on the Discord shared a video the other day. Rosemary shared a video the other day. It was an interview from the McDougall website that they were interviewing Dr. Doug Lisle. And he talks about food addictions. And he talks about how food addictions aren't really how we perceive them, or he might even say that they don't really exist. But the thing with food addictions is that you're not addicted to food. Nobody, if you were addicted to food, then you would just sit down and crush a bag of carrots or eat a whole box of spinach if you're really addicted to food. What you're addicted to is junk food. You're addicted to is processed food. So people remove that word junk or remove that word process and just say, well, I'm addicted to food. No, you're addicted to junk food. And what he talked about in that interview was about, learning to just eat food. And that's what that Mary's Mini, I imagine, helps do, because you just pick one starch, you stick to that starch for the 10-day period, and you don't do a lot of variation. So when you learn to just eat food because you need it for energy, and you're not eating the food for the pleasure aspect of it. And so, yeah, that was a great video that Rosemary had shared on the Discord. The other thing with that, I'll go into it in a minute here. I'm really going long today, but I don't think I have anything else going on. Carrie just said, woo, Costco is a black hole. Yes. You were hoping to listen while shopping today, but we're not able to. So I'm in no hurry to get home, because if Carrie's just leaving Costco now, then that means she's got to get home and get food ready. So I'm not in a rush to get home because there's no dinner ready. But there might be one of those Costco foods that I shouldn't be buying. I might have told her to buy, but we'll see. And Carrie says it's okay. I have yet to even start dinner. Yes, I know. Our Tiny Acres says you need to find a pool that does salt instead of chlorine, since you break out when chlorine touches your skin. Yeah, that's tough. It's going to be really tough to find a commercial pool that doesn't use chlorine. And a big reason for that is just because chlorine's so cheap, and it works really well at sanitizing water. And so it's a hard sell for a place to put in a saltwater system. And then also, like I said, especially in a commercial setting, if there's in a situation where they have to, what's called shocking the water, or where they have to like if they have algae growth, or if they had something biological, somebody threw up in the pool, let's say, that's what happens. um, then you want to have that chlorine to really shock and like bleach. Chlorine's bleach, so it just bleaches all of the bacteria out. So yeah, finding a public pool that uses salt's tough. I know that if I feel like one of Carrie's uncles has a swimming pool that they use a saltwater system. If I had a bigger pool, I would consider using a saltwater system, but our pool is so small that the cost to put that type of system in would be a little bit prohibitive when I can just put a quarter bottle of chlorine in the water and it clears everything up. Um, the so yeah, I think I kind of went through the Starch Solution book. I really like the book, and if you're thinking about eating this way, give it a shot. I would probably still recommend The Pleasure Trap over any other book if you're just getting started. I really feel like that Dr. Doug Lisle and Ellen Goldhamer do a great job talking about a lot of the important parts of dieting, and it's not the difference is like Dr. McDougall has a section in the back of his book where it's the Dr. McDougall's diet plan, or the Dr. Fuhrman's book, Eat to Live. The back of that book has got Dr. Fuhrman's diet plan. The Pleasure Trap, they don't ever spell out a diet plan. They don't say, hey, eat this many servings of fruits, this many servings of vegetables, or eat this for breakfast, or eat this for lunch. They just say, eat a plant exclusive diet with no added salt, oil, and sugar. And then you kind of have to figure that out on your own. But the other aspects of the Pleasure Trap book, talking about the psychology of eating, the sociology of eating, and everything is definitely my, it's the book that got me started on this. So if I'd have read the Starch Solution first, then it would have been, maybe I'd be saying differently if that would have been the book that I read. Connie Brown says, is your family supportive of your diet? Yes. Yes, they are. And my immediate family, my wife, Carrie, she's on stream here. She's KF on stream here. She has been an integral part of me being able to succeed with this because she has joined along with me, and they talk a lot about it in McDougall's book. But when you don't have that support of your family, immediate family, or the family that you live with, then you deal with the temptations, because our body is really hard. It's really tough for our body to overcome those temptations. And so it really is easier because my wife eats this diet. Anthony says, and the kids are very supportive as well. Yes. Another reason why my immediate family, my extended family, is supportive of me losing weight. I don't know that they, I'll explain that in a minute, but, oh man, I had like 4 thoughts in my head at one time, and now I've lost all 5 of them. So yeah, my family's very supportive. Oh yeah, a big thing. I was so fat. I mean, I still am, but at 520 pounds, like if I dropped from a stroke or a heart attack at any moment, it wouldn't have surprised anybody. And a big part, Carrie, I talk about Carrie supported me with this. I could have gone home and said, Carrie, we're going to do any diet. I could have said, hey, we're just going to eat, I don't know, we're going to eat bugs the rest of our life. We're just going to eat cockroaches. And she just said, well, if that's what you have to do to lose weight, then that's what we're going to do for you to lose weight. Because her goal, I think, when starting all of this was just for me not to die tomorrow. And so she was going to support whatever choice I made, because the food choices that I was making previously were awful. And I would deflect a lot. Like people would make comments about what I was eating or the things that the specific things that I was eating. Anthony says, ants. Yes. Ants are delicious. The, but yeah, Connie says, great spouse. Here's the thing though, Connie, that if I die, she's got to raise 4 kids by herself. So I think it was a little bit selfish. But no, she's awesome. Carrie is awesome. My extended family has been pretty supportive. Again, they see me walk into work at 520 pounds and they hear me breathing heavily. And Carrie says, yes, 100%. She doesn't want to raise the kids on her own. I'm pretty sure that's what that's from. The extended family, they wanted to see me get healthy. I mean, my dad would give me, a hard time about the little things like, why are you drinking all that Diet Pepsi, or you don't need those energy drinks. I would just, like I said, I would deflect it. The number one ingredient in Diet Pepsi is water. So it's mostly water, right? Or, I am dieting. I'm going to die eating, things that I would say just to kind of deflect their concerns or try to add humor or something to the conversation instead of actually addressing the issues. So they're supportive that I'm doing something. My in-laws, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, Carrie's parents, they very quickly jumped on board and started eating a plant-based diet. They don't eat salt, oil, sugar-free, but they do eat a plant-based diet. They limit their oil, again, not oil-free, but they do limit it, and they've seen incredible health benefits from eating that way. And so that is pretty cool to see them adopting a diet that's a healthier diet or closer to this diet, plant-based diet, and seeing benefits. And so my hope is that as I get closer to 220 pounds, my family, my brothers and my mom and my dad, they see how much healthier I am and they start trying it out. But I can't, just like none of them could make me start doing it, I can't make them start doing it either. They have to come to it on their own. I can only be a good example in front of them. And so that's really why I try very hard in public settings or at family functions to not deviate from my diet, because they've seen me lose 210 pounds. And if I go to a family function and eat I don't even know a bad example. I don't know. Nothing at family functions is anything I can eat that's junk food. But if they see me eating the Oreos, let's say there's a bag of Oreos, and they see me eating the Oreos, then they're going to put in their mind, well, John lost 200 pounds and John eats Oreos. So I guess you can have Oreos and lose 200 pounds. And that's not what I want to do when I'm at those functions. I want people to see me at those functions being able to stick to my diet. If it means I don't eat anything, I don't eat anything. If it means I have to eat the carrots and the cucumbers and bring our own food, then that's what it is. But eventually I hope I rub off on my extended family. Let's see. Connie says, I do not have a supportive family. What do you suggest I do? Find a new family. No, I'm just kidding. I've heard other people recommend that. I think that's something that Dr. Greger or Goldhamer would definitely say, is find a new family. But that's not obviously practical. There's a lot of things that go into that. And so it's tough without a little bit more information. Is it your spouse that you're saying is not supportive? Is that really what the main person is, I guess? And the other is that, are you looking to lose a lot of weight, or are you looking to switch to a plant-based diet just for health? Because it can kind of change based off of that. But one of the things that I listened to a long time ago or read about a long time ago, they talked about is that your family would help you a lot of ways. And if they're not helping you with the diet, it's unfortunate. But the example that I'll give or try to explain the best I can, but if you went to so it's your dad and your sister, you have cancer and you're using the diet to reverse the disease. Tell them to go fuck themselves. I mean, you need to get rid of cancer. You do whatever you have to do. But no, you can't do that, obviously. And your 95-year-old dad, I can imagine, he's happy with his life and doesn't, he's not, I don't know. I don't know all that stuff. I'm just making that up. But yeah, if you have cancer, you obviously have to do a lot, eating this diet's not just going to remove cancer from your body. And so that is, but from what I've read, it seems to help a lot. And I bet if you get on the McDougall website and you look into some of their testimonials, there's probably some people that have seen benefits from doing those things. But what I've used as an example in the past is that if you went to the doctor, and this is similar, but I don't know exactly what your cancer is or how it affects you. But if I went to my doctor at 520 pounds and I said, and I was having foot problems, let's say, because I was having foot problems, and the doctor says, you have diabetes, it's really bad, your leg is doing horrible. Or if I would have got diabetes and I wouldn't have changed anything, but at a certain point, there is, with diabetes, there's a concern about having your leg amputated. If I came home from a doctor's appointment and I said, hey, the doctor says they have to remove my leg, then my family would have done everything they could do to make living with a missing leg easier. They all would have come together and got the lumber and built handicap ramps into my house or handicap ramps into their own houses. They would have done all of this work if I had such a debilitating disease. But since just being overweight or eating a bad diet people don't correlate that with the disease, they aren't willing to help. But what I would suggest to do, and I imagine, are you living in the same house with them? I imagine is what's going on. But separate your food from their food. If you have to take all your food and put it in a different closet, put it in your room, get yourself your own mini fridge, whatever you have to do to avoid the temptation of their food. That would be a big thing, is that, and then, like I said, a lot of times family would come together and help you with things. I'm sure when you got this diagnosis with cancer that they all said that they would do everything that they could to help you out. And if that's the case, then helping you with your new diet is part of everything they can do to help you. And it might just be a conversation with them being like, hey, for 2 weeks, for 14 days, I need you guys to not eat junk food in front of me. I need you guys to give me the support I need. I need you guys to lay off me, whatever they're doing to not support you for 2 weeks. Just give me 2 weeks. And if at the end of 2 weeks, you haven't seen a massive improvement in yourself, I'd be surprised. But it also depends on what diet you're starting from, because you can have cancer and not be grossly overweight. So you might not have an awful diet, whereas I had an awful diet, or somebody with diabetes generally has an awful diet. But also, just ask for 2 weeks. Just be like, just give me 2 weeks, because once you get 2 weeks in, you're going to be feeling so much better that you're able to ride that momentum. And so after 2 weeks, if you start putting your food back in the pantry, then you can kind of use that either weight loss or that improved physical feeling as a motivator to keep you on diet. But it's that first 2 weeks that's so tough to avoid all that junk food, especially when it's in the same house. So if you can separate your food from their food, I think that would be a great thing to start with. Ask them to not eat junk food around you, or do your best to avoid being around them when they're eating that junk food, and just do your best with it. But I mean, it's very important that you take care of yourself, and even without them, okay, so Connie says you'll try. The problem is they believe their doctor who says they can eat whatever they want. They can eat whatever they want. I understand. It's just because your doctor says you can eat everything you want. My doctor doesn't say that, or that's not the case for you. Like your 95-year-old dad. I mean, when I'm 95 years old, I don't know how much I'm going to be caring about what I put in my body or not. I hope, I mean, I imagine that I am, but I know, people that get that old, and they've lived a certain way, they don't, teaching an old dog new tricks. But yeah, I mean, if you could get them to try your diet too for a couple of weeks, that'd be amazing. And just be like, hey, and the other thing that I didn't say yet, but, and he talks a little bit about it in the Starch Solution book. You need to have an abundance of foods that you can eat in your pantry or wherever you have your food. You need to have so much food available that you don't ever get into a position where your choice is either eat junk food or not eat. You always want to eat junk food or eat healthy food, at least as an option. Having that no food is tough, because it's really, really tough, because when you get hungry, you get hungry. And if your body is this evolutionary wonder that it doesn't care what you think about the food, it just cares that it gets food. And so if you go to the pantry and all that's in there is a bag of Ruffles, you went to the pantry because you're hungry. Your body's going to find a way to convince you to eat those Ruffles. It might start small. It might be like, hey, let's just grab a handful of them. Or you might be able to resist it once or twice, but after an hour or two of resisting that temptation, you succumb. You're like, well, you know what? I haven't eaten for 12 hours. It's not going to kill me to eat a bag of potato chips, or eat some potato chips. Or you find some justification. Well, you know what? I have been on the diet for a month now. What's the difference if I have that candy or if I eat that junk food? And so your body will constantly try to find justifications for eating the junk food. And if instead of, when you go to your pantry and you open it, instead of there just being a bag of chips, if there's a bag of chips and there's a bag of oranges, you can make that healthier choice. You actually have the ability to make that healthier choice. Another thing that Dr. McDougall talks about at the end of the book is just making the choice one time to say, I no longer eat meat products. I no longer, and I've done that. I've sat down in my head and been like, I will no longer eat animal products. I'll no longer have dairy. And I don't have to fight myself about that. Anytime I see meat as an option, it's not an option for me because I made the decision one time. It's not a decision that I make on a case by case basis. I don't have to have that argument with myself every day or try to find a justification for why I should allow myself to have cheese again. I just said, I'm done with cheese, and I've walked away. So it's tough, Connie. And I hope that you're able to get something figured out with it, because it's your life, and I believe that if you can eat something closer to the starch solution, that you'll see improved health benefits. The sad thing about cancer and what people don't understand about cancer is that the day you were diagnosed with cancer wasn't the day after you got cancer. If you have cancer in your system, it's likely that it's been growing for years or decades, and the sometimes the best you can hope for is just slowing down any further growth. And the other thing, Colin Campbell's book, The Future of Nutrition, talks a lot about cancer. Like, that is a huge part of the first half of the book is about cancer. So I would maybe recommend checking out The Future of Nutrition. And that's really what Colin Campbell's whole focus was throughout his career, at least the last half of his career, was the correlation, or maybe it was a big part of his career. I don't know what part, but the correlation between animal protein and cancer growth. It doesn't mean that animal products cause the cancer. There's a lot of environmental factors that can lead to you getting cancer. But what his studies showed was how cancer or animal protein in your diet increases the growth factor of cancer. If you can keep your diet, I think it's like less than 15%, but there's a point where you can have a little bit of meat, like you could have meat once a week, or you could have it here and there, and you wouldn't really see a huge impact. But once you get over a certain point of animal protein, then that's where you see the growth of cancer. So he recommends removing it, and that would be something that I would recommend checking out his books, because his book Whole and his book The Future of Nutrition, they both, I would say, or reach out to or look into the Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies, and they might have some resources there. Carrie says that she agrees that you need to get into the zone. Yes, you need to say, hey, if I got into a car accident tomorrow, you guys would build a handicap ramp up to the door. You would wait on me hand and foot until I got better again. And this is no different. I need 2 weeks. I need 3 weeks to start getting better. I need my body to start working for me instead of against me. Stand in Hope says that cold tofurkey is sometimes the best way for some things. Yes. It really is. It's so much easier to abstain from something to eat than to eat it moderately. And that was something that I've been figuring out, or I've been learning throughout this whole process. And Stan Hope says that they heard that dairy might be the worst food for cancer. It could be. I mean, there's not much. I would be willing to find out if there's any redeeming factors of dairy. Like, what is it in dairy that you have to have? Like, that you couldn't get from a different animal product even, but like, why would you need cheese? Like nobody is sitting here saying that cheese is a diet food. And so, the fact that it's become such a huge part of our diet is incredible. And I'm sure has something to do with, the fact that our country is getting fatter. The increase in, I'd bet that there's a correlation between the increase in dairy in our grocery stores and the increase in belt sizes of people around the country. Wow, I went long here today. If anybody has any other questions, Pretty Girl's mom says Topher. Yes, I actually got that from Chef AJ because I did use the word. I used the phrase cold turkey in that interview, and she corrected me and said cold tofurkey. If anybody has any questions, let me know. But I went long today. I did not talk about the last thing. But it's not a big deal. If you get a chance to watch that video that's on the Discord with Dr. Greg Lisle, it's a great video. I watched that today, and that was what I was actually going to talk about more on. But I appreciate everybody being on chat, engaging with me. Connie, I really hope you can get something worked out. I truly do. I know it's tough, and not having the support of the family is something that many people run into, especially the people that aren't overweight, or they're not grossly overweight like I was. Their genetics and their history has allowed them to eat the way they eat, but I'm also guessing that you probably don't eat the same way your dad does eat either, but I don't know if he's overweight or what's going on that. Anyways, and the linings of, in the pockets of big food. Yes, they love our money, and that's what it does. All this processed food just lines their pockets. If you guys, haven't subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. Click on that bell icon so you get alerted when I go live. And if you haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There's no reason to wait. There's nothing coming up this weekend that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. Nobody ever gets to the end, looks back, and says they wish they would have waited. Every single person that reaches their goals always wishes they would have started sooner. Always wishes they would have, I wish I knew now what I knew. I wish I knew then what I knew now. I'm the same way. I'm not even to my goal yet. I wish I would have started sooner. I'd be so much further along. And don't fall for the 2 myths of moderation. The myth of moderate change, the idea that you can slowly switch to a healthier diet while still holding on to the unhealthy diet that you've been eating. It just isn't possible. Our bodies, they go for that high calorie food, and it's really tough to fight it and to eat that. You can't make that change in moderation. You need to just make the change because it's so important to do it. Many times people try to make that change and they do it slow and they change a couple things, but they don't see the results they wanted to see because they didn't change everything they were supposed to change, and then they quit. And so then they blame this diet that they never truly followed for the reason why they couldn't succeed. It was the diet's fault. The other is the myth of moderate consumption. the idea that a little bit of something unhealthy is okay for you. It's not, guys. It doesn't, it'll give you that moment of pleasure to eat that Oreo. I guess I'll throw that out there again, but it doesn't promote health. If your goal is to live as long as you're humanly possible and to be as healthy in that time period as humanly possible, then the decisions you make now have to be to that end. I mean, I've reversed so many health issues that I was going to have future or down the line in my life. I've reversed so many of those problems, but I know that the last 20 years has taken years off the end of my life. If I lived to be 95 years old, had I been eating this way when I was 20, maybe I would have made it to 96. Maybe I would have made it to 105. Who knows? But the choices you make today affect you the rest of your life. And when you just have a little bit of something unhealthy, it's not worth it in the long run. And the idea that you can eat like half a portion of food, that I'll go to a restaurant, I'll order the meal, I'll have them put half of it in the to-go box, the other half of it I'll eat tonight, and then I'll eat that other half tomorrow. You can do that for a little while, but it's not sustainable. I've done it lots of times, and I've lost a lot of weight eating next to nothing, but your body craves volumes of food. So, give your body that volume of food that it craves. Just make sure that the calorie density is below 600 calories a pound, and you should be good. So I'm going to get out of here. Bye, everybody. Pretty Girl's mom, Our Tiny Acres, Anthony, Carrie, Connie, Shy, everybody who's checked in. I'm sure I missed other people. Stand in Hope. Everybody, thanks for checking out today's broadcast. I will be back on Monday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I hope the weather's not too hot for you down in the South and not too wet for you up in Oregon there, and not too wet here in the Midwest, I guess is what it is right now. So you guys all have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.